I'm Linda, 28, and literally last weekend my rep as the family scapegoat? Yeah, it totally backfired. The piece I'd been holding together by swallowing my pride and footing their bills, it blew up into a full-on betrayal at what I thought was my birthday party. Amanda, my golden child sister, orchestrated it all, and when I called her out, the room went dead silent. "You're so selfish, Linda," my mom yelled with everyone staring like I'd burned the house down. But here's the tea. Their shade didn't break me, it lit a spark. I'm not just pushing back, I'm about to flip the script and change everything. A quick note, this story is copyrighted by the YouTube channel Brim Revenge. Reposting, revoicing, or editing this content without permission constitutes copyright infringement. Thank you for respecting original creative work. Now back to the story. My fingers gripped the steering wheel as I pulled up to Mom and Dad's house, the familiar knot in my stomach tightening. I'd spent weeks hyping myself up for this, my 28th birthday. For once, I let myself believe they'd planned something for me. Mom's cryptic text, "Big surprise tonight, come over at 6, had me stupidly hopeful. I even wore my best shirt, the blue one Amanda once said made me look less like a loser. Parked, I sat for a moment, staring at the house's glowing windows, picturing a cake with my name on it. I grabbed the bottle of wine I'd brought, fancy because I always overdid it trying to please them. Inside, the living room was decked out, balloons, streamers, a banner. My heart leapt, but then I saw it. "Congrats, Amanda," scrawled in gold. My sister stood center stage, grinning, her graduation cap perched jauntily on her head. Mom rushed over, not to hug me but to adjust Amanda's sash. "Isn't it amazing?" she gushed. Dad clapped Amanda's shoulder, his eyes skipping right over me. I stood frozen, the wine bottle heavy in my hand, my smile fading as cousins and aunts swarmed her. "Surprise!" they cheered, not for me. My chest tightened, the air sucked out of the room. I mumbled a weak, happy graduation and slipped toward the kitchen, the wine bottle still clutched like a lifeline. Nobody noticed me weave through the crowd, their laughter for Amanda drowning out the thud of my heart. I set the bottle on the counter, my fingers lingering on the label, and let the memories flood in, years of being invisible, a ghost in my own family. When I was 12, I won a regional science fair, my model rocket beating out 50 others. I rushed home, trophy in hand, expecting Mom to frame it like she did Amanda's cheerleading medals. Instead, she barely glanced up from Amanda's new dance recital photos. "That's nice, Linda," she said, her eyes glued to Amanda's glittery costume. Dad just grunted. "Don't make a mess with that thing." Meanwhile, Amanda's B+ report card got a dinner at Olive Garden. At 16, I rebuilt a junked computer and sold it for $500, my first real win. I showed Dad, hoping for a nod. He shrugged. "Why not get a real job like Amanda's lifeguarding gig?" Her summer job was responsible, my hustle was weird. By 22, I'd learned to stop trying. Amanda's college acceptance letter got a family party, my scholarship to a tech program got a "that's practical" from Mom. Each slight was a paper cut, small but stinging, piling up over years. I'd lie awake, replaying their dismissals, wondering what I lacked. Amanda was the star, charismatic, loud, their pride. I was the fixer, the one they called when the Wi-Fi died or the car needed a jump, but never the one they celebrated. Standing in that kitchen, the party noise swelling, I felt it again, that familiar ache of being unseen. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a bank alert I ignored for now, too raw to check. I straightened, forcing a smile, and stepped back into the chaos, determined to play my role one last time. I pushed through the crowd, my smile a brittle mask, and found a corner to lean against, the party's chaos swirling around me. Amanda was holding court, her laugh sharp and bright, while I nursed a soda, the bank alert still nagging at the edge of my mind. It took me back to 3 years ago, when I had my aha moment, the spark that became my secret rebellion against being the family's doormat. I was 25, working a dead-end IT job, fixing printers for people who barely knew my name. One night, after Mom called to borrow $200 for Amanda's emergency shopping trip, I snapped. Not out loud, I never did that, but inside something shifted. I was done being their ATM. Sitting at my tiny apartment desk, I started coding. It was a side hustle at first, a budgeting app for people like me, scraping by. I poured every spare hour into it, learning from YouTube tutorials, my eyes burning from late nights. My first version crashed constantly, but I kept at it, fueled by coffee and quiet rage. 6 months in, I had a prototype. A year later, I launched it on a small app store. Downloads trickled, 10, then 100, then 5,000. By last month, it hit 50,000 users, bringing in steady ad revenue. I never told my family. They'd call it nerd stuff, or worse, ask for a cut. That app was my lifeline, proof I wasn't the failure they saw. I'd check the numbers obsessively, watching the downloads climb, each one a tiny middle finger to their dismissal. Standing in that party, I felt its weight in my pocket. Not just a phone, but my secret victim. Amanda twirled past, her graduation sash gleaming, and I wondered if she'd ever built anything herself. My phone buzzed again, another alert. I glanced at it this time, my stomach dropping as I saw the words, unauthorized transaction. My fingers tightened around the can, the aluminum denting slightly. Something was wrong, and I was about to find out how deep their betrayal ran. I stepped outside to the porch. The party's noise muffled by the glass door, my breath fogging in the cool evening air. It was the morning of my birthday now, hours before the surprise that would gut me, and I was already dreading the family gathering. My app's success had me on the verge of a deal with a tech firm, $200,000 to license it, a game changer. I'd been up since dawn, refreshing my email for their final offer, my fingers tapping nervously on my laptop. But Mom's text from yesterday, big surprise tonight, had me stuck in a loop of hope and doubt. Maybe this year they'd see me. Maybe they'd care. I paced the apartment, my sneakers scuffing the worn carpet. My place was small, second-hand couch, a desk cluttered with empty energy drink cans, but it was mine, paid for without their help. I opened my closet, pulling out the blue shirt Amanda once mocked but Mom said looked sharp. I wanted to believe her, wanted to believe tonight would be different. I shaved, my reflection showing tired eyes and a jaw clenched from years of biting my tongue. The bank alert from last night still nagged me, $1,200 withdrawn, no explanation. I'd called the bank, but they said to check in person. Later, I told myself, shoving it down. I grabbed the wine bottle, a $40 splurge, and headed out, my stomach churning with equal parts hope and dread. Driving to Mom and Dad's, I rehearsed what I'd say if they finally acknowledged me. Thanks for the party, I'd start, casual, like I hadn't been waiting 28 years for it. The house came into view, lights blazing, cars lining the street. My heart ticked up imagining a cake, my name in icing. I parked, my hands sweaty on the wheel, and stepped out, the wine bottle cool against my palm. I walked toward the door, each step heavier, unaware I was about to walk into a trap that would shatter everything. The door swung open, and I stepped into the house, the air thick with perfume and chatter. Balloons bobbed against the ceiling, and a banner screamed, "Congrats, Amanda!" in glittery letters. My heart sank, the wine bottle nearly slipping from my grip. Mom spotted me, her smile bright but not for me. "Linda, you're here," she said, already turning to adjust Amanda's sash. I forced a nod, my throat tight as I scanned the room. Dad was pouring drinks, laughing with Amanda's friends, while she posed for photos, her graduation cap tilted just so. Nobody said, "Happy birthday." I edged toward the buffet. The spread lavish, shrimp, cupcakes, a chocolate fountain. My stomach twisted, this wasn't for me. "Nice party," I mumbled to Aunt Karen, who barely looked up from her phone. "Amanda deserves it," she said, scrolling. I clenched my jaw, setting the wine bottle down harder than I meant to, the clink lost in the music. Cousins I hadn't seen in years brushed past, tossing me half smiles or nothing at all. "Hey Linda, still fixing computers?" Uncle Mike asked, his tone dripping with pity. I shrugged, my fingers curling into my palms. "Something like that." Amanda swept over, her perfume stinging my nose. "Oh Linda, you came," she said, like I was an afterthought. "Hope you brought your wallet." "Kidding." Her laugh was sharp and her friends snickered. I forced a chuckle, my face hot, the room closing in. I wanted to scream, "It's my birthday!" but the words stuck. Instead I grabbed a plate, piling on food I wouldn't eat just to have something to do. My phone buzzed again, another bank alert. I glanced at it, my pulse spiking. $1,200 charged to catering by Bella. My eyes darted to the buffet, the logo on the napkins matching the charge. My hands shook, the plate wobbling. They didn't just forget me, they used me. I stood frozen by the buffet, the catering napkins crumpled in my fist, the bank alert glaring on my phone screen. The room's chatter faded to a dull roar as I pieced it together. $1,200, my credit card, Amanda's party. My eyes darted to her, laughing with Mom, her hand waving dramatically as she retold some grad school story. I shoved my phone in my pocket, my pulse hammering, and marched toward them. Mom, I said, my voice low but sharp enough to make her turn. We need to talk, now. She blinked, her smile faltering, and followed me to the hallway, Amanda trailing with a pout. What's wrong, Linda? You're being dramatic, Mom said, crossing her arms. I held up my phone, the alert glowing. This, my card, $1,200 for her party. Amanda's eyes widened, but she recovered fast, tossing her hair. You're freaking out over nothing. I borrowed it, meant to tell you. Borrowed. The word hit like a slap. You stole it, I said, my voice shaking. Mom gasped, Linda, don't accuse your sister. Dad appeared, his face hard. What's this about? I explained. The charge, the catering, my birthday ignored. Amanda rolled her eyes. God, Linda, it's just money. You're always so stingy. Stingy? I'd paid their phone bills, which covered Dad's car repair last year. My fists clenched, nails biting my palms. You used me, I said, staring at Amanda. Mom stepped in, her voice sharp. You're ruining her night? Just let it go. Dad nodded. Family helps family. I laughed, bitter, my chest tight. Family? You forgot my birthday for this. Their silence was deafening, Amanda's smirk the only response. I turned, my shoes squeaking on the hardwood, and grabbed my coat. I'm done, I said, the words heavy but final. They didn't stop me as I walked out, the door slamming behind me. My breath ragged in the cold night air. The cold bit at my knuckles as I sat in my car, the engine idling, the house's lights glowing mockingly behind me. My phone trembled in my hand, the bank alert still open. $1,200 gone, Amanda's smug smirk burned into my brain. I could hear Mom's voice, just let it go, looping with Dad's, family helps family. My chest ached, but something sharper cut through the hurt. Clarity. I wasn't their ATM anymore. I opened the bank app, my thumb hovering over the fraud report option. My heart pounded. This wasn't just about money. It was about every ignored achievement, every backhanded jab, every time I'd swallowed my pride. I hit report fraud. The call to the police was quick, my voice steady as I explained the unauthorized charge. Yes, I know who used it, I said, naming Amanda. The officer's tone was calm, professional, asking for details I gave without hesitation. Dates, amounts, the catering company. We'll need to investigate, he said. This could lead to charges. I nodded to myself, my fingers tight on the steering wheel. I understand. Hanging up, I felt a weight lift, replaced by a different kind, guilt, but not enough to stop me. Amanda's job offer, her perfect future, might take a hit. Good. Let her feel consequences for once. I stared at my phone, expecting it to light up with texts from Mom, Dad, anyone. Nothing. Just silence, colder than the night air. I leaned back, my breath fogging the windshield, and let the reality sink in. I'd crossed a line they'd never forgive, but I wasn't sorry. My birthday, my money, my dignity, they'd trampled it all. The car's heater hummed, warming my hands, but the fire in my gut was my own. I'd done something for me, finally, and it felt like breaking chains. I drove back to the house, the adrenaline from the police call still buzzing in my veins, my hands steady on the wheel. The party was still in full swing, music thumping, laughter spilling through the open windows. I didn't plan to go back inside, but as I parked, Mom's silhouette appeared at the door, her arms crossed, face tight. She'd gotten a call from Amanda's friend at the bank, a heads-up about my fraud report. I stepped out, the gravel crunching under my boots, and faced her. Linda, how could you? She hissed, her voice low to avoid a scene. You're ruining Amanda's life! Dad joined her, his jaw set. You went to the cops? Over a party? Amanda pushed past them, her eyes red but defiant. You're such a spiteful jerk, she spat, her hands balled into fists. I stood my ground, my pulse steady now. Spiteful? You stole from me. It's my birthday and you threw a party for you with my money. Mom shook her head, her voice trembling. She's your sister. You should be happy for her. I laughed, sharp and hollow. Happy? You forgot me, again. Their faces twisted, Mom's with guilt she'd never admit, Dad's with anger, Amanda's with pure venom. You'll regret this, Amanda said, her voice low. That job offer, it's gone if I get a record. I met her stare, unflinching. Maybe you should have thought of that before. Dad stepped forward, pointing. You're no son of mine if you let this happen. The words stung, but I was done bleeding for them. I turned, my coat brushing the porch railing, and said, Then I guess I'm not your son. I walked back to my car, their shouts fading behind me, my heart pounding but free. The engine roared as I pulled away, their betrayal in my rear view, my future ahead. The city lights blurred as I drove away, my hands still tight on the wheel, the echo of Dad's words, "You're no son of mine," fading but not gone. I didn't go home. Instead, I pulled into the parking lot of a diner where my friends Jake and Sarah were waiting. They'd texted earlier, insisting we celebrate my birthday properly, no family drama allowed. Inside, the place smelled of coffee and fries, warm and familiar. Jake waved me over, his grin wide, Sarah already sliding a beer my way. "Happy birthday, man!" Jake said, clapping my shoulder. I forced a smile, my chest still raw, but their warmth was a balm. I slid into the booth, the vinyl creaking under me, and let out a shaky breath. Sarah leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "You look like hell, what happened?" I told them everything. The party, Amanda's theft, the police, my family's fury. My voice cracked when I mentioned Dad's ultimatum, my fingers tracing the condensation on the beer bottle. Jake's jaw tightened. Sarah reached across, squeezing my hand. "They don't deserve you," she said, her voice fierce. "You're not their punching bag." Jake nodded, raising his glass. To Linda, who finally said screw it to the toxic BS. We clinked glasses, and for the first time that night I laughed, the sound small but real. The diner's jukebox kicked on some old rock song, and Sarah dragged us to the tiny dance floor, her energy pulling me out of my head. Jake spun her, clumsy but earnest, and I swayed along, my shoulders loosening. These were my people, chosen, not forced. They saw me, not the scapegoat, not the wallet. As we sat back down, plates of greasy burgers arriving, I realized this was the birthday I'd wanted all along. Simple, honest, no strings attached. The diner's warmth lingered in my bones as I drove home, but the high of Jake and Sarah's support couldn't erase the night's sting. My phone stayed silent, no apologies, no texts from Mom, Dad, or Amanda, just as well. I parked outside my apartment, the street quiet except for a distant siren, and sat there, my hands still on the wheel. My family's faces flashed in my mind. Mom's pinched frown, Dad's accusing finger, Amanda's smirk. I'd crossed a line with the police report, and they'd made it clear I was the villain. Fine, if I was done with them, I needed to make it real. Inside, I tossed my keys on the counter, the clink, loud in the empty apartment. My phone buzzed, a missed call from Mom, no voicemail. Then another from Dad. I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over block. My chest tightened. Guilt creeping in, but I remembered the catering charge. Amanda's casual, it's just money. No more. I blocked Mom's number, then Dad's, then Amanda's. Each tap felt like dropping a weight, heavy but freeing. I opened my laptop, drafting an email to my extended family. "I'm stepping back. Don't contact me unless it's to respect my boundaries." My fingers shook as I hit send, the finality sinking in. I leaned back, my couch creaking, and stared at the ceiling. My app's revenue would cover rent, maybe even a better place soon. The tech firm's deal was close. $200,000, my future. I didn't need their approval or their drama. I grabbed a notebook, jotting down new rules. No loans, no fixing their messes, no playing scapegoat. My pen scratched the paper, each word a brick in a wall I was building to protect my peace. The silence in my apartment wasn't lonely. It was mine, and I'd fight to keep it that way. Morning light filtered through my apartment's blinds, casting stripes across my desk where I sat, laptop open, emails piling up. The tech firm's offer had come through, $200,000 to license my app, with talks of a bigger partnership. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, the weight of last night's fight with my family still heavy, but no longer crushing. I wasn't just Linda, the scapegoat, anymore. I was building something real, something mine, and I'd make sure the world knew it on my terms, not theirs. I spent the day drafting a press release for the app's milestone, 50,000 users and counting. My hands moved fast, words flowing. Created by Linda Ellis, a self-taught coder, this app empowers people to take control of their finances. I lingered on my name, typing it bold, claiming it back from the shadow of Amanda's golden glow. I emailed a local charity, offering a portion of my revenue to help low-income families budget better. Their reply came quick. "We'd love to collaborate." My chest swelled, not with pride, but purpose. This was who I was, someone who built, not someone who begged for scraps of approval. Later, I walked to the corner coffee shop, my sneakers scuffing the sidewalk, and ordered a black coffee, no sugar. The barista, a guy I'd seen before, grinned. "You look like you just won something." I smirked, stirring my drink. Maybe I did. Back home, I hung a small whiteboard, jotting down goals. Expand the app, mentor young coders, live unapologetically. My family's name, Ellis, had been theirs to define for too long. Now it was mine to reshape, tied to something good, something lasting. I stood back, marker in hand, and felt the shift. I wasn't running from them anymore, I was running toward me. I sat on my balcony, the city humming below, a cheap folding chair creaking under me as I sipped a beer. The sky was bruised purple, streetlights flickering on, and for the first time in years, my mind was quiet. No family drama, no bank alerts, no guilt gnawing at me. I'd spent the day finalizing the tech firm deal, my signature on the contract locking in $200,000, my future, my rules. My phone stayed silent, no calls from Mom or Dad, no texts from Amanda. I'd blocked them, and the absence felt like a deep breath after years underwater. I set the beer down, the glass cool against my palm, and let myself think. I'd spent my life chasing their approval, twisting myself to fit their mold, reliable, quiet, invisible. Every ignored achievement, every dollar I lent them was me begging to be seen. But last night, when I reported Amanda's fraud, when I walked away from their porch, I chose my app, my friends, my small apartment. They were enough. I didn't need their cake or their praise. My worth wasn't in their eyes, it was in the code I wrote, the users I helped, the boundaries I set. I leaned back, the chair wobbling, and smiled. Peace wasn't loud or showy, it was this moment, alone but whole. I stood, stretching, and glanced at the whiteboard inside, my goals scrawled in black marker. I wasn't just surviving their betrayal, I was building a life they couldn't touch. The stars were out now, faint against the city glow, Howard. I realized I didn't need their validation, I'd found my own. So, what do you think? Did I stand up for myself enough? Or should I have gone further? Drop a comment below with your thoughts or a story of your own about breaking free from toxic ties. Don't forget to subscribe for more. Your support keeps these stories coming. Keep choosing yourself. It's worth it.